Let's turn to Professor Sir John Curtice, who's a polling expert, Professor of Politics at the University of Strathclyde, widely regarded as the most eminent psophologist in the whole of the country, and joins me now. Sir John, if I were to ask you, in the views of the British public, has this made Mr Sunak more secure in his job, less secure, or made no impact whatsoever? How would you respond? Good morning.
Well, I think so far as Mr Sunak's job and his ability to do his job and perceptions of him yesterday certainly won't have done him any harm, and he certainly avoided the ignominy of defeat that would perhaps help to undermine people's perceptions of his performance as Prime Minister, perceptions which, by the way, have been going down quite markedly during the course of his first 12 months in office. But more broadly speaking, is the Conservative attempt to try and deal not just with the Rwanda bill, but the raft of announcements that we had last week having any obvious impact on the Conservative standing in the opinion polls? The answer to that is no. We've had 5 companies poll in the last week or so who had polled in the week immediately before the various announcements on trying to curb immigration. In the week before those announcements, the Conservatives were at 25 points, and in the polls since, the Conservatives are at 25 points. And we shouldn't be surprised at this, because although it's undoubtedly true that those who voted Conservative in 2019 are particularly concerned about the level of immigration, what you also discover is that the perceptions of 2019 Conservative voters about what's happening to immigration are largely unrelated to whether or not they're going to vote Conservative again. In other words, there are lots of people who are upset about what's happening to immigration who are still saying they're going to vote Conservative anyway. The issues which help to identify those people who are no longer willing to vote Conservative are, 1, perceptions of the economy, and 2, perceptions of the health service. And so therefore, if the government is going to try to come up with stances, policy changes, initiatives that might have a reasonable prospect of bringing back on board some of those people who've defected from the party, it's on those subjects that the government probably needs to concentrate. But those are the 2 subjects that, for the most part, have been more or less absent in the various initiatives that the government has come up with to try to improve its position basically since the middle of September.
So, John, you filled us in on the party's standing. Where is personal popularity for Mr Sunak at this time?
Oh, it's... when Mr Sunak became Prime Minister just over 12 months ago, he was markedly less unpopular than his party, although he wasn't as popular as he was when he was the Chancellor who was saving the labour market with a polo
buying everyone
scheme.
lunch, absolutely. Yeah.
But the truth is now he is almost as unpopular as his party, and his party is no more popular now than it was 12 months ago. The problem that the Conservatives face is that Mr Sunak has been in office for 12 months. Their standing in the opinion polls has not significantly improved, and meanwhile, their leader's personal popularity has declined quite markedly. So if anything, they now find themselves in an even worse pickle than they were after the defenestration of Liz Truss.
Always enjoy our time together. If I don't speak to you beforehand, Sir John, I wish you and your family a very happy Christmas. Sir John Curtice, Professor of Politics at the University of Strathclyde, polling expert, undoubtedly the most eminent in the country.